Comes a collective voice, warning that devastation may be coming our way. H.G. Wells was an anguished, almost biblical prophet, torn between two visions, one of salvation and one of doom. He was obsessed with the future, so much so that he invented a machine to take him there, a time machine. Some of what Wells saw as he peered into the future aroused and excited him. Much of what he saw filled him with horror. Writing at the end of the last century, he pioneered a new kind of fiction, science fiction. But it was as a prophet, a futurist, a traveler through time that he really made his mark. Forecasting the coming century so vividly and so well that he became known as the man who invented tomorrow. Wells was an amazingly accurate prophet, in things both big and small. Everything from superhighways and overcrowded cities to computers and television. Professor Gary Westfall.
He did have a good imagination for envisioning little things that might improve people's lives, like a modern video cassette player, so that instead of reading novels, people watched them in their homes, and babble machines that told them the news, very much like modern radio.
Wells' most remarkable forecasts, however, had to do with war. He virtually invented tanks, or land ironclads, as he called them, describing them so vividly that he claimed a patent on them during the First World War. And Wells, writing in the era of the horse and buggy, forecast the military use of planes, along with the horror they would bring to modern warfare. Professor George Slusser.
Wells was fascinated by what would happen if you would bomb cities. Air warfare means it all. Lines and boundaries are down. You can go deep into an enemy country, bomb its cities. Not only destroy military targets, but you can also attack civilian targets.
Now the bomb was going to drop on your living room, and you could get killed. There was no front anymore. You had airplanes. The whole country was part of the battle zone.
Wells made his most startling prediction about modern war in 1911, when he forecast a new kind of weapon, an atomic weapon.
He was the first to really envision fully atomic bombs, and he saw them getting out of control and being used to such an extent that they virtually devastated the world.
Wells predicted that the bomb would be made of uranium and used to destroy cities. As he said, in the middle decades of the 20th century.
H.G. Wells fully believed that the human race was capable of destroying itself unless something radically dramatic happened to change things. There was like a preset course that humanity was on, which would lead to perhaps not only the death of humanity, but the death of the world itself.
Wells' last book of prophecy was The Shape of Things to Come. His final vision was dark but hopeful, full of untold violence, but also the possibility of enlightenment and change. Writing in 1933, Wells predicted an apocalyptic world war.
All of the cities and all the infrastructures and everything are destroyed. So what you're going to get are little pockets of surviving humanity. Feudal societies, basically, enslaving their peoples.
But out of this, Wells prophesied a new consciousness would emerge, spearheaded by a visionary elite that would take control of the weapons of war and create a world state.
These airmen come, they stop this fighting, and they're able to pacify people and to lead them, literally, to a new world where they build a new state of technological wonders.
By the middle of the 21st century, Wells envisioned a peaceful world, liberated from old hatreds and adorned with scientific marvels. Wells' most far-fetched vision, of course, was time travel itself. Amazingly, here too, science has begun to bear him out.
There are a lot of scientists today who are pondering the problem of time communication. In other words,
G. Wells wrote The Time this story, he traveled 800,000 years into the future and saw a terrible world in which the descendants of the working class were literally eating the descendants of the upper class.
They became cannibals in the sense that these beautiful people that are on the upper world are the cattle. Quite simply, they're raising them to eat them. What Wells, as time traveler, saw as a beautiful utopia at first turns out to be a nightmare.
The nightmare became worse when Wells zoomed further into the future, 30 million years further, and he caught a glimpse of a dying planet, breathing its last under a huge red sun.
The Time Machine still remains a classic work because its prediction is still very accurate in terms of scientific theory. The sudden death of the universe is still very much the end of all things.
Wells was always convincing when he wrote about doomsday, but he didn't think disaster was inevitable.
He expressed very strongly the belief that the human race could survive and could improve itself. Wells did not seek to be a prophet. He was not writing in order to predict the future, but to change the future.
Wells himself had to struggle to stay optimistic as he saw some of his nightmare predictions come true. The bomb in particular pushed him toward despair. Near the end of his life, he was asked by a friend what he wanted as an epitaph.